Okay, it is time now for Truth or Fake, our daily fact-checking segment with James Creedon today. Hello, James. You've been looking at some bad buzz, some fake news even, about Pride Month, which has been circulating in the French media. What's being said?
All right, so, our colleagues on the French channel were talking about this last week, I believe. So it's Pride Month in June, which means events throughout the month to raise awareness about LGBTQ plus, etc. Issues. And because it started out as a kind of a gay pride day that then morphed into something much longer, and because LGBT has now been kind of lengthened and stretched out, it has attracted a certain amount of criticism. It has attracted a certain amount of derision. I suppose for every action, you'll get reactions, and with activism, you also get reactivism. So certainly, you can understand the importance of activism for greater visibility for homosexuals, etc. But when it goes to a level that some people feel it's going too far, then you get a certain amount of bad buzz. And here we have fake news as well. Now, about 10 years ago at Sciences Po University here in Paris, they started up a series of kind of events, I think a queer week. And as part of that queer week, there was essentially this image that was associated with it. Right now, what you see here is actually body paint and children sort of rather too close, you would say, with paintbrushes to a nude adult. So this was being presented on social media as a Queer for Kids event that was part of Queer Week, that is part of this broader kind of, this was a kind of a Sciences Po association, student association attempt to sort of create greater awareness for these issues. Also, I suppose the idea that children, if they're made more aware of these issues at a younger age, perhaps it'll help them. In any case, the image comes from the Festival of Naked Forms, which has nothing to do with Queer Week whatsoever. It's an event that is regularly organised in Prague. So this image has nothing to do with any of these events whatsoever. And that lady there got it completely and utterly wrong. So while there might be questions hanging over some of the events that would take place, and you could have certainly a debate about it, and indeed here, Queer for Kids, that whole notion that there would be kind of ateliers or workshops, including 7 to 14-year-olds on these whole issues, there's certainly a debate to be had around that, but that's a completely fake image.
Okay, so out of context and totally nothing to do with what you were saying. Next up, Saudi Arabia has announced an International Straight Pride Month in retaliation for Gay Pride Month. Is this true or not?
Well, I mean, you might scratch your head and think that could be true. But anyway, certainly when you see it attached to a BBC tweet, Saudi Arabia has announced its intention to hold International Straight Pride Month during June 2022. A Saudi spokesperson explained that the event was designed to celebrate those who follow the laws of God and that straight men are discriminated against in many places. And people sort of shared that. In any case, let's just cut to the chase here. Fullfact.org, amongst others, have made it very clear that the tweet was not tweeted at all. It was a non-tweet. It never existed. The BBC never tweeted that. And Saudi Arabia has announced no such plans.
It was like a photo montage.
It was, indeed. And again, you'd scratch your head sometimes as to the motivations behind that, which I can't actually give you any more information on, other than it's fake.
Okay. All right. Well, we won't even speculate on that. Next up, a claim that Ukrainian LGBT soldiers are attaching a unicorn symbol to their uniforms. Could this be true?
This is actually true, which is, I think, somewhat surprising, but in the context of, I think, the war between Russia and the Ukraine, but which is also a culture war, and indeed Russia has been extremely offensive, I think, in its crackdown on LGBT associations and whatnot. So many in Ukraine feel strongly about these issues, and there was this movement amongst some soldiers, more female than male it seems, in the Ukrainian army, to attach this symbol here to the sleeve of their uniform in a bid to sort of just say, look, we're here, we're participating in the war effort, and we're declaring that we have this orientation. So that's an interesting one, because one might have presumed that there would have been certainly more, a desire to remain discreet in the armed forces about your sexual orientation. Of course, that debate has been had many times in the US as well. But in this case, they're certainly showing their colours.
Okay, and I suppose that dispels some of those Russian claims about them all being neo-Nazis and
Exactly.
everything else. Finally, some fake news going around about the Ukrainian flag being integrated into the lgbtq plus flag.
All right,
Tell us more.
this one it has me giggle a small bit because the flag, indeed, it has come in for a little bit of derision or mockery in recent times because you have the classic rainbow flag, which has become widely understood to represent LGBT, etc. But then trans issues and other issues were sort of added in these sort of triangular colours added in the corner. So there was a claim going around that Ukraine's colours had now been included in the LGBT flag, and that is false. Obviously, I think it doesn't probably need to be made clear that it is false, but it did lead to a certain amount of, I suppose, derision online. Some people just laughing at it, others actually taking it as being serious news, which it isn't.
Okay, well, thank you for helping to dispel those rumours. James Creedon with today's edition of Truth or Fake. Thank you. Up next, it's Focus.